Hello, ghouls, and welcome to a very rainy day in Alabama. We are at Season 2, Episode 12 of the Shrouded in Darkness podcast, where we shine a light on the cases that the world forgot. This is your true crime obsessed host, Marlena. Let's look at our sources for today's case. True Crime All the Time podcast, Deadly Truths podcast, the Morgan Nick Foundation website, and KARK News. Today's case takes us to Alma, Arkansas. It's 1995. We meet 6-year-old Morgan Nick. She's 4 feet tall with blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. She's a sweet kid, quiet and shy. She loves animals, especially cats. And she's an avid Girl Scout and loves being a big sister to her younger siblings, Logan and Taryn. She and her family live in Ozark, Arkansas, which is only about 30 minutes from our main focal point, Alma, Arkansas. Alma is a small rural town with maybe a population of 3,800 people. It's late in the day on June 9th, again 1995. Morgan is with her mom, Colleen, at a youth league baseball game. The game is running a little long, and the kids are starting to get a little restless. We're nearing 10:30 p.m. A couple of kids, Ty and Jessica, invite Morgan to play with them and catch fireflies. At first, Colleen says no, but she recalls all the times she's been the overprotective mother. She caves and lets Morgan go with her friends. After all, there are a lot of parents around. There's a double fence protecting the kids. Morgan quickly hugs her mother and happily follows the 2 other children to the parking lot area. Colleen watches the kids for a bit before turning her focus back to the game. The game ends shortly after. Colleen looks for her daughter in the crowd, but only sees the 2 children she was playing with. She rushes to the parking lot to search. Some other parents join her, but there's no Morgan. She's nowhere to be seen. Colleen questions Ty and Jessica. They say they saw that the game was over, so they started returning to their parents. Morgan was following behind. As they were leaving the sand pile, they stopped to empty their shoes, and they thought Morgan was right behind them. Police are notified and arrive at the scene quickly. First, the local police. Then, within an hour, the state police arrive. Another few hours pass, and we see the U.S. Marshals and FBI teams. The police question the other families and, of course, the children that Morgan was playing with. Witnesses describe a creepy man that approached the kids. He was driving a red truck with a camper shell, and the truck has an Arkansas license plate. Another witness reports a man that appeared to be almost watching Morgan play. The man was described as a 23 to 30-year-old man, 6 feet tall, with either black or more of a salt and pepper style hair, and it was combed straight back. Parents come forward with video footage from the day. And one of those videos shows a red truck in the background, that same one with a camper shell. Interestingly, none of the parents or family members owned the truck or knew who owned it. Other than these few witness statements and video footage, there's no other evidence, nothing definitive to indicate what happened to little Morgan Nick. The day after her disappearance, Ty and Jessica are brought in to make a composite sketch of the man they mentioned. We fast forward a little to 1996. Morgan's parents start the Morgan Nick Foundation to aid in missing cases, not just their own. From what I can see, Colleen is still the director, and I believe one of Morgan's siblings is part of it as well. The foundation works directly with the Arkansas Crime Information Center to get real-time data about the latest missing persons cases in the state. Now it's February 1997. There was a newly released age-progressed photo of Morgan, along with the released photos of the persons of interest. Leads trickle in from time to time. One report that I read said that they had received thousands of leads over time. We fast forward again. Now we're in 2001. We get to see another age progression photo of Morgan when she's at 12. Also, sometime during this same year, her case is aired on Unsolved Mysteries, which helps it garner national attention. In 2002, a tip comes in stating the person knew where the body was located. The police check this out, bring in search dogs, and so on, but nothing is found. January 9th, 2009. The Arkansas State Police revamp the state's notification system for abducted children to significantly speed up alert delivery. This was heavily influenced by Morgan's case. At one point, I read that the alert was actually called the Morgan Nick Amber Alert. Of course, today, we just know it as the Amber Alert. We see another tip come in 2010. This time, it pinpoints a house in Oklahoma. The FBI and U.S. Marshals search this property, but come out empty-handed. It's 2012. The family receives a newly constructed home in Alma by the crew of Extreme Makeover Home Edition. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that TV show. I just wanted to share this little tidbit just because it's something positive that came out of this super heartbreaking case. We're now in 2015. Ty and Jessica, the kids that were with Morgan that night, they speak out for the first time. This year marked the 20th anniversary of Morgan's abduction. The exclusive interviews were released by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They hoped that it would stir up new leads. 2 years later, another tip comes in for that same Oklahoma property. This time, they bring in cadaver dogs. The dogs do alert to a well that's on the property, but the search again turns up nothing. We're now in 2019. Morgan would have been 30 years old. Detective Brett Hartley enters the picture. He starts digging into files and reports. He learns that the children weren't the only ones that interacted with that same red truck. He's able to pinpoint the truck's locations and the man's throughout the day based on multiple reports he found. So that same man tries to pick up a teenaged runaway. Shortly after that, he sees two young children playing in their front yard, 5 and 6-year-old. All we know is that the kids ran into the house crying and mom sees the pickup truck. Next, we're in downtown Alma. Two older boys see the truck. The driver of the truck yells at them for being in the road. And a similar incident happens just after this. The next time we see the truck that day is in the baseball field parking lot. Remember, we have video footage from the parents. There are 2 timestamps for the truck being in the field, or rather the parking lot of the field. First at 5:30, and then again at 7. The final location this vehicle is seen is near a river. There were some teens parked near the river and saw the truck. They even reported that they saw an adult male driving the truck, and it looked like he was almost holding a child down. That same night, the area was flooded. The detective's theory is that Morgan was with that man in the truck, and that's the reason he was actually at the river that night, that she was washed away in the floodwaters, taking any evidence with her. We know that a witness shared details of that license plate back in 1995. Remember, they said it was an Arkansas license plate. Well, at that time, there was nothing found. But now, all these years later, there's a hit on that same license plate. This brings us to Billy Jack Links, our new suspect. Unfortunately, at least in my opinion, Morgan Nick's case will never find true justice because Billy died while incarcerated for a separate kidnapping charge. But let me add this. Police were able to locate and then search Billy's truck. This would have been in 2020. The truck had been sold at an auction and purchased by an individual and was still actually in good condition. Now, this was the same red truck that people saw with a camper shell on top. The camper shell was confirmed by a neighbor, just so you're aware. They confirmed that they did know that Billy's truck used to have a camper shell on it. So in the truck, a 2023 forensic analysis is able to link relationship DNA, meaning investigators took Morgan Nick's mother's DNA, so Colleen's DNA. They compared it to DNA that was found in Billy's truck, and it was a match. There is also a fiber analysis of blue-green cotton fibers found in the truck. That matches Morgan's Girl Scout shirt that she was wearing that same day. Also, just so you're aware, the Nick family did not know Billy, so there was no reason for any of their items to be in his truck. I want to add that the Texas-based Othram Laboratory played a huge role in this breakthrough. They used advanced forensic-grade genome sequencing technology to determine the DNA connection. And Othram has their own Facebook page, which I followed for a while. They've helped solve numerous cases, and they truly deserve a shout-out. Again, that's the Othram Laboratory. Now we move into October 2024. Billy Jack Links is officially named the primary suspect in Morgan Nick's case. I found this next bit of information almost a relief because it was only 2 months after Morgan's disappearance that Billy was placed under arrest. This would have been August 29th, 1995. He was arrested for trying to lure an 11-year-old girl into his truck while at a restaurant in Van Buren, Arkansas. In March 1996, he was convicted, and he remained in jail until his death on August 5th, 2000. A few important things to know. Earlier that same June day in 1995, there was a report that someone tried to kidnap a 4-year-old girl. Or, I'm sorry, I don't know the gender, but just a 4-year-old. Thankfully, that child screamed and was saved by their mother. The person that was trying to do the kidnapping was reported to be driving a red truck. The day following Morgan's disappearance, another report came in from Fort Smith, which was maybe 20 minutes from Alma. In this report, a man tried to get a 9-year-old little girl to go into a restroom with him. She ran away from the stranger and got out of that situation. As I mentioned earlier, we do see a few persons of interest. So this is more like just an FYI. It looks into the investigators and, them trying to find closure and everything of the case. One of those persons of interest came in March of 2000, only a few miles from the baseball field. A man arrives home to find someone assaulting his daughter. The person assaulting was Charles Vine. His DNA was linked to 2 murders, plus an attempted murder. So him becoming a suspect in Morgan's case kind of makes sense. Only he wasn't involved. There's nothing linking him to Morgan's disappearance. He was even offered a plea deal if he confessed, but he wasn't able to take the deal because he really had no part in it. Any case I cover is difficult. I try to be thorough in my research. I try to get the facts right. I've gone down countless rabbit holes. When kids are involved, though, it's a whole nother battle. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure you can relate to how heartbreaking this case is. A 6-year-old, a baby, taken from her loved ones. My heart hurts for Colleen and that family and that community to go through something like that. I'm just thankful the person responsible was at least discovered, even if he didn't get his just punishment. Well, this wraps up this week's case. If you have any details worth sharing, or maybe you have your own theory, reach out. You can connect with us on Instagram and WordPress. Just search for the Shrouded in Darkness podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if there's a case from your own hometown that deserves attention, send it to us. Tune in next week as we dive into the case of William Devon Howell. Until next time, ghouls, remember, the truth is always hiding in the darkness.